In this video or in the next two videos, I'll probably split this up into sections. I'm going to teach you how to play Marilyn Hanson on guitar. And for most of the Hank Green and Perfect Strangers live set, I'm behind the drums. But for this track and a few others in this set, I get behind the guitar. So the song's in G major, if that helps you out a lot. It's based around G, C, and D, much like a lot of Hank songs. It's usually three chords that move all around. And then this is the guitar part that I play on the album as well as I play live. The sheet music and Guitar Pro tab and regular tab are all in the description if you want to follow along. Those should help a lot. So it starts off just with regular old power chords. So that's the beginning, just going G, C, G, D, G, C, G, and then it ends with that little walk up. So just power chords up until that point. And then for that walk up, if you would call it there, we move over to start with C, but we just use the octaves. So 3rd fret on that A string, and then I use my pinky on the G string, 5th fret, so that octave, and then it just goes up the scale in this way. So strum, and then slide, and then it just does that all the way up. So C to D, so 3rd fret to 5th, then 5th to 7th, 7th to 9th, then the last one 9th to 10, and then I usually bend that a little bit, and that's it. And then in the next part, I use a chord that I love a whole lot. I bar the 10th fret, or the first two strings of the 10th fret with my first finger. Then my 3rd goes on the 12th fret on the D, and my 2nd goes on the 11th fret on the G string there. And so you strum that chord, really slowly strum it, introduce it note by note, and then strum away on that 11th fret, that's a 2nd finger, and then move in the pinky finger to the 12th fret to make just a good old regular G chord, and then strum that out the 2nd time around. So the whole thing is. And then we slide out from that 11th fret and move into a fun part of the song. It starts with this chord, which is very similar to the last one, just 2 of the notes. I use my 2nd finger and my 3rd finger, just like this, and but on the 10th fret, on the E and the A strings. And it's just between that chord and then moves to, I use my 1st and 2nd fingers on the 7th and 8th fret, 7th on the A, 8th here, just a C chord. And I demonstrated a problem there on accident. In the studio, when I did this, when you're in the studio, you can sit down and really concentrate on your part. But when it comes to live, you want to be jumping around and having a good time. So you can't really be as precise. So especially live, I make sure to, when I'm doing these chords here, this is kind of funny. I usually can't see myself. The fisheye is really fun. Oh, and now it glitched. Oh man! As soon as I start enjoying having myself up there, this program is horrible. It always stops working. But anyway, when I'm doing these chords, I make sure to get those notes and then just rest my hand on the other strings. So that way I can just strum away, and the other strings there aren't going to ring out. And then that way I don't need to worry about being precise live, and I can just strum away. And I didn't do a good job there, but when I'm well practiced and I do it right, then I can just strum away and concentrate more on jumping around and having a good time. I restarted the camera so I could see this. So anyway, through those 2 chords, the 2nd time around, when we end it and move on to the next thing, it ends in kind of particular way. So I'll do the whole thing. So for that last chord, we add the octave. So 8, 7, and then with the pinky in third, go 10, 9, get the octave in there. And we kind of introduce it kind of slowly as it builds up into the next thing. And then strumming harder as it goes, building up volume to go into the next one. And then this next part, it just goes back to good old power chords, G, C, and D, but in a kind of, in a configuration that will just take some time to memorize. So. And then really strum a bit more at the end there. And again, just power chords, and the rhythm, or the way they change up there in the chord progression, is just going to take a second to memorize, and it's all on the tab. And then the next part, speaking of things that are tough to memorize, the next chord progression, again, just starts with just power chords, but the rhythm is a bit weird. We actually, as a band, Andrew and Joe and I, when we were practicing before we went into recording the album, this part was a little bit confusing, and I think that's because at first we were looking at it as guitar players and bass players and drums, and just in that context, just instrumentally, it's a little bit, I wouldn't say nonsensical, but it's hard to memorize. But what really helped us out is we later learned to just listen to Hank's vocals, really concentrate on that, because that's how they were written. So once you really focus on Hank's vocals and not the instrumentation, then the chords make a whole lot more sense and it's easier to follow. But when you take away the vocals, it can be a little bit confusing. So that, I might even mess it up here actually, but it's all on the tab, and this will really help for this part to listen along with the song while you're learning it. And yeah, so it starts end of the last part. Get those pauses in there. In no sense, that was the point. And then right at doop doop doo, halfway through, I changed things up. Yeah, those chords are just going to take a while to memorize, but it's just a mixture of D, C, and G. But right there at the end, I put in a little palm mute, and the D I just add, I like doing this a lot when I want power chords to be extra powerful. If you're doing them on the A string, you can go ahead and add the root of, I guess that would be considered the 7th there. So I add an A, and I just bar with my first finger to add that extra note. So instead of just, it's, and I put in a palm mute there to give it some extra power. So it ends like that. Now I'm just going to be switching through C and D, but in a different way. So now we're going to move to different chords. Instead of just power chords, it's going to be this, which is 2nd finger, 3rd finger, 1st finger, and we'll go into it why. So it's just that shape, which is kind of part of like a bar chord shape, just taking the middle. And that's a C. And then the other strings are just open, and they kind of alright, still recording. And they kind of clash, especially this one. The C flat and the C there, or B and C, kind of clash, and that's what we want. So we just switch between that and move that same shape over to D, 5, 5, 4, and again, just open strings, still having them clash a bit. And then here the clashing note is. But that's good. You want that ugliness in there a little bit. Like that. And then there's that one little part in there, moving up to the D, I move in to that G, and that's why we're using this shape, and the pinky goes in to that 5th fret, and then live I really accentuate that to get it in there, and then in the studio I'm pretty sure I just strummed it. And I really incorporate a lot of palm mutes there too, so using this part of your hand and getting an extra chunk, because this is building up and building up. Sure, I'll play through it again. And that's it for this video. If you want to move on to the rest of the song, solos next, and then the ending, I'll probably put annotations somewhere here, and yeah, keep learning. It's a fun song, and of course, I'm sure I can speak for the rest of the band when I say we would love to see some covers of this. That would be super cool. So yeah, continue learning if you want to, or go back to this video to learn the rest, and thanks for watching.